Amazon does one thing very well, and it's customer obsession. So if you're a customer of Amazon, they're amazing. If you're an employee or a contractor, or you work with them, it's a completely different story. They're ruthless and not in a fun way.
This voice came in my head and it was like, Hayder, if you don't stop now, you are basically going to be in the porn industry.
Ready? Okay, we're back. The Struggling Entrepreneur, episode 7. This is our second episode that we've shot in the last 2 days, so forgive us if the energy is a little bit low, but we'll try our best. We've got a guest with us, joined by Alan. Good to meet you, my friend.
Pleasure to be here. Glad to join you guys and be part of the podcast.
For sure. Very excited. So Alan is, I'll let you introduce yourself a little bit, but in my understanding, Alan is an entrepreneur. Worked for one of the, if not the most famous company in the world.
Entrepreneur.
A struggling entrepreneur, of course. And you're just visiting the UK, right?
Yeah.
So you live in Canada.
Exactly.
So maybe, why don't you give a little bit of a summary of yourself to those who don't know you, including myself, you're friends with Hayder, but for my benefit and for the viewers, like, what would you consider yourself? Would you call yourself an entrepreneur?
No, not yet.
Okay.
Yeah. A struggling one, though. I like that title. I think I can identify with that. Just a very curious person that is trying to earn his time and freedom back. I've tried the corporate world and it didn't, it's not good enough. And the only other path is entrepreneurship. So I've already had a nice adventure with starting my own business a few years ago. And then I went back to Amazon and here I am. I just quit a few months ago, taking some time off and then hoping to get back, into the game.
Got it. Okay, so you mentioned Amazon. So how is it that you ended up? Was Amazon your first job? Did you have a career before that? How did you end up at Amazon?
I never planned to work in a company. My dad was an entrepreneur. I watched him start, move to Dubai, start as a delivery driver, the equivalent of an Uber person right now, an Uber Eats person who delivers. And I've watched him build his own company, starting with one employee, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3 projects until it's a multi-million dollar business.
Can you go into a little, I've never known what your family do. What is it like? Can you go into a bit more detail? Or
Sure. So my mother is a Christian Syrian and my dad is a Muslim Kurdish. So both families were opposed to them getting married in Syria. Wow. So right from the start, they were going against the flow. They went to Dubai, they got married, they had me. And then same thing, they started working any job they can get. And the first job my dad had was delivering food for a cafeteria. And for those who are not in Dubai, a cafeteria is like 3 steps below a restaurant. That's like the cheapest way you can get food. And my dad was delivering at some point, and then he became a teacher, and then he started doing odd jobs, construction and whatnot. And then he built a small crew, started getting slightly bigger projects. And then 10 years later, it became a company. And 20 years later, that company put us through schooling and, is the main financial income for my family. So I've watched this live, and I've watched it before TikTok, before Instagram, when you really didn't have good examples of what it's like to struggle as an entrepreneur. Because, if you just say entrepreneur, it misses a lot of context, a lot of pain, a lot of suffering that is necessary to make it. And I don't think there's a way around that. So when I graduated, my plan was to do my own thing as well. Unfortunately, I got a job from Amazon. And after discussing with my family...
Sorry, did I mishear? Did you say unfortunately?
Yeah, unfortunately, because...
everyone kills himself to get an Amazon job. He's like, unfortunate.
I was applying I'm a civil engineer. I applied to construction jobs. And I did internships in that field, and none of them were exciting enough. So I thought I'll aim higher. I'll apply to the companies that sound cool to me as a 23-year-old. That was Amazon, Tesla, Facebook, Microsoft. let's say the FANG or the tech companies, the big five. Um, and I didn't think it would work, but it did. And that was the only other option that was worth pursuing. Again, the big picture being I'm going to learn what I can and leave and use it to do my own thing. And that's what happened. 2 years later, I left, did my own thing in Dubai. We can get into it later, but I think it was a success. We were able to sell a lot more than I expected, almost $1.1 million in 16 months at a net profit margin of 6%. And I was able to sell that company, take a break, and go back to Amazon. Because again, at the time, I ran out of energy because it was not easy. 3.5 years later, same thing again. Got sick of Amazon, but I took my time to build up my savings, to invest, to buy property. So now I'm a lot more strategic about how I'm going to start the second company. I have a lot more criteria on what would be a good company to start. I have a lot of lessons that I've got 3 years to reflect on. So I think I'm ready for round 2. And I think it's going to be good and it's going to be fun. And I'm really excited. You have to choose your pain, and I choose this pain because I enjoy it. There's a lot of joy in it for me, in creating wealth and, being different from other people and going places others. Everyone says they want to be free. Everyone says they want to quit their job. Everyone wants to travel. Everyone wants to get fit. But how many people are willing to put their mouth or their money where their mouth is, or actually put in the effort? And that's what what I try to keep reminding myself.
I have a question for you.
Of course.
If you could go back in time, do you think would you still work at Amazon or any other corporate company? Or would you go straight into entrepreneurship? Would you advise someone to do what you did, I guess, if someone's watching? Or would you say to them, don't go for this
I'll take it a step further. Would I still go and spend 5 years in engineering school? And the answer is no. If I had... that's the problem. If I had the skills I have now, I wouldn't need to go to Amazon. But I didn't. Back then, I just had a goal. It was out of ignorance. I wanted to do my own thing. So I don't know. It's hard to answer. If I go back to 18 and I start, becoming an entrepreneur, failing from 18 till now 32, that's 14 years of failure, which probably will lead to a lot more success in my next journey. So
it is a tough one, isn't it? I've thought about this quite a lot. And I think my thinking at the time was I need to go and get a degree and work at a big reputable company. So I have the confidence to be able to start a business. Like, I genuinely believe that. But once you go once I've gone through it, I realize that the best route from A to B is in a straight line. Trying to take this corporate route probably wasn't the best use of my time. I think if I would go back, I'd try and get right into it, because I don't need that on my CV to have confidence to be able to do something that is actually not related. I guess, would you say, each company is very different? I don't know kind of, the job you did and the skills you did. Would you say there's some transferable skills that you can take over from to entrepreneurship?
Yeah, I think there's a lot that you can bring from the corporate world, and there's a lot you learn not to bring from the corporate world, and both are as important, because you're going to make those mistakes. If you're not in Amazon or Deloitte or whatever, you'll make them on your own company and your own teams, and your own business is going to suffer. So it was good to make mistakes on someone else's dime. And that helped me learn. And in terms of the confidence point, I think it's really important. I don't think I would have had the confidence if I didn't. So confidence is just a track record of how many promises you made to yourself and you kept. The more you have and the bigger the challenge, the more confidence you have. So going through engineering school, getting the job, whatever challenges those adventures brought, they helped me build my confidence. They brought some transferable skills, like you said, and some of the main skills is managing teams, leading teams. That's something I learned like from the age of whatever age I started Amazon, 23 until 25. It was part of what I did. But also, there's a lot of skills that are part of who I am now that came because of Amazon. So I don't know. I don't know if I were to do it again. I probably would do the first 2 years, but maybe I wouldn't stay a total of 5.5. So I will cut it a bit sooner. So that maybe would be my doing it differently. I would still go because it's not a lot of places can teach you like an intense environment.
What was your role, by the way?
I started in operations from the ground up. If you've ever ordered, have you guys ordered Amazon packages?
course.
Yeah, of
How's
course.
the delivery?
Yeah,
How's
yeah,
the
yeah.
speed? How's the selection? So I work on the delivery aspect of it. I started in the ground, in the warehouses, managing people that do the picking, packing, shipping. So on the floor, with teams starting from 10, 20 people, ending in about 150 was the biggest team I had. And this is all in the first 2 years. And then I left operations. I started launching the warehouses for Amazon in Canada. Again, a year later, I moved a step higher where I was planning from the office. You know, that was the nice job, cozy job on the laptop. You just plan where things should happen. You look at the data, and it was the peak in terms of minimum stress, maximum earnings, and not having to deal with people. Nobody reported to me. So that was a very comfortable, dangerously comfortable spot to be in. And that's why I stayed those last 2 years.
Got it.
And you still managed to leave. You
Yeah.
still left.
Yeah.
That must have been tough.
I think it was. I think I should have done it sooner. Yeah, it was not easy, and most people I talked to did not. I think you relate to that when you start your own business. People don't usually encourage you to step into the unknown for the bigger price. They encourage you to stay in the comfort and get what you've already had. So that slowed me down a bit, and I learned an important lesson. Don't ask advice from people who don't have lives you care for. I.e., if you look at someone and you don't want that life, don't ask them for advice. Go to people that you look up to and ask them for advice, because they give you very different perspective.
See, what's funny with me, and I think we spoke about this the other
Yeah.
day, is I also asked, like the people who weren't in the position I want to be, said, no, it's risky, don't do what you're doing. But the people who did take that leap and went down the path of entrepreneurship, even they were against it. And I understand, they don't want you to do something where you're going to be in a difficult situation. So they're trying to point me in the safe direction. But even the people who are kind of what you're aspiring to be, they were still advising me against it.
That's very interesting. I don't get it. I mean, maybe it didn't work as well as they hoped for themselves. Maybe it was a really rough road. But my hope would be, if someone cares for you, to give you advice that's more suitable to where you are rather than their journey. And it's not easy to do. Our instinct, our intuition, when someone asks for something, is to answer from our own perspective, which we're 24/7, we're living in our own brains. But it's hard to give you the advice that's better for you from where you stand. So I don't blame them.
So what was it like when you transitioned out of Amazon? Now this is your first business, your first time kind of, I guess, being your own boss and being an entrepreneur? Second time.
To quickly summarize, graduated 2 years at Amazon and then left for 3, during which I had my first company that I talked about briefly. And then I went back to Amazon for 3.5, and now I left again. So it's the second time I do this. That's why maybe I'm excited. I want it to be fun. I'm a little bit, I think, picky about what kind of business I want. It's not about the first time. I wanted to make money anyway, anyhow. If you give me $100 worth of business, I'll spend 3 hours to make sure I get it. I wasn't sure this could work. I didn't know things like how it would. I saw my dad do it, but I wasn't sure I could do it. Now it's very different. I know exactly what kind of company I want, and I'll be glad to even walk you guys through the 5 criteria I have set.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to hear that.
Yeah. Sounds interesting.
Okay. Firstly, It's an easy one. It has to be location independent. My first company was a tourism business in Dubai. You had to be there. Like at some point, I was able to outsource some of it to Canada to the internship program of my university, which was very good way to get underpriced labor, very smart people for very cheap. And I think, it's a good way to get very smart people on your team, especially if you need high tech like software developers, analytics, finance people. Smartest people are in universities, desperate for some work. Location independent. Number two, something fun, something I already do, something I already enjoy talking about. Same way that this conversation is something you would probably do with or without the mic, with or without me. Wherever you are, you'd probably have similar conversations. That's the criteria I want for my company. And, the three eternal markets, health, wealth, and happiness, overlap a lot with the things I do and the things I was able to achieve my goals in. So I think it's realistic to have that criteria. What do you think?
Something you enjoy, of course.
Yeah,
of course.
So health, wealth, and happiness, finance falls into that, fitness falls into that, travel falls into that, career success, entrepreneur, a lot of things can fall into that. But if you ask me to like start a wastewater treatment business, architecture, data analytics, buying and reselling pillows, construction work, none of that excites me.
That's quite interesting.
It is interesting the way that you see it. I guess it's very different from the way I see it. For me, it's actually the opposite. When I think about business, it's more, I think the business doesn't matter. For me, it's love of the game of business, whether we're selling pillows or real estate or accounting or whatever it may be. My thinking is I'm playing this game of, entrepreneurship. It doesn't actually matter what we're doing. And a part of that, it's being open to, for me anyway, it's scanning the environment for these opportunities and thinking, where is that opportunity? You know what I'm saying?
I think that's a very fair way of looking at it.
I remember when I was working at Deloitte and I was in this corporate environment, people would they were like, fine, you're leaving, where are you going? Which company are you going? Are you going EY? Are you going PwC? I'm like, I'm not going to any of them. They're like, what? All right, what? I'm starting my own business. Okay, fine. What's this tech company about? Yeah, like, how's it going to change the world? I'm like, I don't know what it is yet. They're like, what do you mean? Like, if you're going to leave to start a business, it has to be this cool, life-changing idea, right? This is what it seems like the pressure is. If you're going to do something, it has to be something impactful. If I was like, I'm going to go and sell pillows, no one would have taken me seriously. They would have probably laughed at me. But what's funny is a lot of these guys who work in these consulting or accounting companies might be working for a client that's a pillow manufacturer.
True.
But it's like somewhere in their mind, they associate it has to be cool, it has to be trendy, it has to be... So I'm against it. I'm actually more interested in boring businesses because I think the boring businesses is one, they've been consistent longer and you're probably competing with less smart individuals.
Interesting.
This is how I think of it.
I think there's 2 phases or maybe 3. Phase 0, you got to pay the bills. And to pay the bills, you have to cast your net as wide as possible. And you got to play the game of making money. Pillows, whatever, construction, real estate, Airbnbs, whatever you want, you got to make money. Phase 1, you've made enough money. Your company is working. You have a successful business model, which I think you're already there. If not, you're already past it. And then your fulfillment needs are going to start surfacing because, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. At the bottom is you want a place to sleep, shelter, blah, blah, blah. But then once you satisfy those naturally, as a human, you're going to ask yourself, now what? And then you're going to start thinking, okay, maybe I should do something that's closer to my heart, something that I have a personal vested interest, immigration or helping refugees, donating computers to underprivileged, whatever. So I think the way you described it is how one should start. And only when you've passed the first level and you don't need money anymore, you should go to level 2. And I used Amazon for level 0 because during the last 3 years, I've saved up enough. So I know I have a runway of 2, 3, or 4 years. So I would say it's a privileged position. Not everyone can have this position, but that's where I am now. So I want something that's enjoyable because I want this to be fun. It's still going to be painful, I'm sure, at some points, but I want something to look forward to. And as I think more about it, I think it's got to be one of these things. Reality might come, Muhammad Ali said it, you always have a plan until you get punched in the face. 6 months later, on the next episode, I come back to London and I'm selling garbage, I'm day trading garbage. Literally, I'm buying garbage from Finland and burning it in China. Why? Because I ran out of money.
I guess the first question that comes to my mind as someone who worked in Amazon and now who's thinking about entrepreneurship.
Yes.
Because to me, it appears you have a big advantage. Even the brand even being associated with Amazon. I guess why not an Amazon business? Or is that something you've thought about or you're not interested in?
Why not an Amazon business? Like, what kind of business? Like buying and selling through Amazon?
I guess maybe that's one option, or even let's say a type of a service-based business. Imagine you offer marketing services for Amazon business, like something to do with the Amazon ecosystem, basically.
I think Amazon is too ruthless and hard to work with, and I cannot have my income reliant on Amazon's, constantly changing policies and BS. I cannot be tied to them in that way.
That is really interesting. I don't know. I think we spoke about this, but I have an Amazon business, an Amazon KDP business that pays royalties every month.
Nice.
And then one day, all of a sudden, I got an email from Amazon saying they've terminated my account. We're not telling you why we've terminated your account, but you're not going to get paid the money that's owed to you. You're not going to get paid, and you're never going to be able to open an Amazon KDP account ever again. And I was like, what? Why this, that? Please tell me what's the reason. They're like, we can't tell you as per our terms and conditions. We don't need to tell you anything. I went back and forth. Like, I never knew what it was, but I kept repeating myself. I haven't broken anything. I haven't done it. I haven't breached any of your terms and conditions. One day I get an email, it was like a week later. They're like, we've reinstated your account. I was like, can you please tell me what I've done? Because I'm worried, I'm scared. Like, I don't want this to happen again. They're like, as per our terms and conditions, we don't need to tell you the reason we thought we closed it, but we've reinstated it now.
So would you want to have your income reliant
at that moment, I was like, no way. Imagine you are, like, luckily for me, it wasn't my only business, but imagine your livelihood depends on that. And you've essentially got, it's like owning a house. Imagine you own a house. And then one day the government comes, they're like, we're taking it. You've done something. We're not telling you what we've done, but we've decided you can't have this rental income. Like, unless you live under Saddam Hussein or some like Kim Jong somewhere in North Korea, generally that doesn't happen,
I probably shouldn't be saying this, but Amazon does one thing very well, and it's customer obsession. So if you're a customer of Amazon, they're amazing. If you're an employee or a contractor, or you work with them, you're not a customer, it's a completely different story. They're ruthless and not in a fun way. So I wouldn't want to be working with them in that sense. If it's one channel out of like 5 sales channels you have, sure, expand your reach through using Amazon. But personally, I think it will violate several of my criteria to work with them. Yeah.
What about a service bit? I know there's a lot of companies out there that do like they're Amazon marketing agencies, or they help companies get onto Amazon or launch in new marketplaces. What about that side of things, where you're not really, you're not at risk because it's not your account and you've got kind of different clients? You might have a specialist knowledge that you could offer those, businesses that are operating on Amazon.
Possible, but doesn't sound fun.
Fine.
This guy's tried so hard to get away from Amazon twice.
And I'm there trying to bring him back.
It's good questions, because I haven't thought of every single option, but it is possible. But I can tell you the knowledge I have, the specialized knowledge of Amazon, is very desirable in many other companies. So the stuff I did, in fact, is more valuable when I leave Amazon and I go to Walmart and tell them, hey guys, this is the program I had, this is how we did it. What you got? What are you going to offer me?
Yeah.
Because that's how I see a lot of people leverage their Amazon knowledge to leave. People don't stay there. People get what they can, and then they, go 150% salary to one of the competitors that can actually, give you a better life balance, pay you more, and, not kind of suck the soul out of you.
Okay, so you had location independent, you had fun.
Fun,
What else?
operationally simple. After year one, it should be a business I can run on less than 1 hour a week. Operationally simple, whether it's one product, one service, you know, I'll leave it at that. If you have questions, does it make sense?
Operation, yeah, simple operation.
Yeah,
Not-
and I'm
not
an
so
operations
complex.
guy, so I can make you a warehouse filled with 1 million items and get them all, you know, delivered to the right truck to the right person. I have the ability to do that, but I know operations come with a whole set of challenges that I also don't want to go into. So operationally, it has to be simple, not necessarily easy, but simple. Zero or as close to zero cost of reproduction.
What do you mean by cost of reproduction?
For example, if you're selling a course, what's the cost to reproduce your course? Close to zero. If you're selling a pillow, that's not close to zero.
Wow.
If you're selling software, again, doesn't cost much. It's close to zero. You're selling media. You have a YouTube channel. Doesn't cost you much to go from 10,000 to 10 million views. It's the same video, same infrastructure. So those are the lines I'm thinking.
So does that mean it needs to be digital, or are there non-digital things that you have in mind for that as well?
If the non-digital thing has a wide enough margin, it could qualify as close to zero cost of reproduction.
Got it.
Yeah, but mostly it will be something digital. Media, code, courses.
But every coin has two sides. So the fact that let's say for example, me selling digital books on the Amazon store, it's a lot like if you've got an established book that's doing well, and you compare that to an Amazon seller who's got, I don't know, pillows that are doing well. The fact that anyone can enter that market and there's no, you know, a lot more people can come into it. So sometimes the pros also make it a disadvantage. And this is what I realized in the Airbnb business. When I first started, you know, years ago, when I was thinking of different things to start, I was like, oh, the Airbnb business isn't good because you're location dependent and you have to be close to the properties in London, all of this, that. But as time went on, I realized that's actually a benefit. If you don't mind being in a certain place, for example, let's say I want to start a marketing agency here in London. A guy from India can be competing with me and he might be very, very good at what he does. Whereas he can't come and manage a property in central London just because location prevents him from doing it. Do you see what I mean? So everything has pros and cons.
To entry are lower when you're talking about what I'm talking about. 100%. I agree. Yeah, I acknowledge, and I think that's a fair point. And everything has its pros and cons. So, but for me, those are the things.
But it's good that you know kind of what you want, because everything has problems. You know, whatever direction you go in is going to have its own set of challenges.
I think it's a fair point, but it excites me a lot more the fact that I can go from 10,000 to 10 million using the same website, same infrastructure. Very, very easy to scale. That excites me.
Yeah.
If it's a traditional business, the scaling curve looks very different. And in the things that I described, winner takes all a lot more. So you're right, barriers to entry are lower, but the big players get a lot more of the market. And I think I can be one of the big players in whatever field I go into. So that's the hope, ambition, but deep inside, I know I can do it.
Yeah, it's very cool, man. To say like, these are the things I want. And it sounds exciting. Like if you pull this off, God.
Yeah, and I would love to do this in a year and then be able to actually, it's easy to sit down and theorize. It's easy. This is the easy part, to say, I want. But like we said earlier, the hard part is sit down and doing what it takes to achieve the things you said. So like, this is the easy part. So I won't get too excited. But in a year, if I can do it and I can come back and list it one by one how my business achieved all these things, that would be super.
That would be unreal.
That's motivating. That the idea of that is motivating.
Yeah. I think eventually you'll be able to do it. You know, it's like if you're consistent with it, you know.
That's less motivating. I like.
You like his one more?
I like when you challenge me more.
All right, fine. You won't be able to do
no
it.
chance.
There's no chance.
I like that. Okay, challenge accepted.
I've got a quick question for you. Just as, I guess I'm trying to understand certain things here, hoping I can add value after you finish. What would you say is one of your biggest strengths? Like, what are you really good at, or what would other people describe you as being really good at?
Not sure. I need to think about that. But
There were certain things I picked up on, you know, even like when I knew you a few years ago, when we played football, when I came and visited you in that business you had.
okay, tell me, because
You seem like you're very, you know, very organized even like how you were with football. You'd get like a camera and you'd get this and you'd communicate very well and you'd notify everyone in advance. And
so thanks for that. A lot of these are the skills I picked up in Amazon. So leadership, communication, long-term planning. Actually, I have a list of things I learned from Amazon that whenever we can will help. But yeah, thanks. I think those are some useful soft skills that anyone needs to succeed if you're doing your own thing. Because if you're within the framework of a company, they're going to impose those on you. You're going to have meetings. You're going to have your 3-month review, your annual review. You're going to have, you know, they're going to give you the structure to perform. When you're on your own, you have to create your own structure. So if you're not organized, how are you going to do that? If you cannot communicate well, how are you going to, you know, sell yourself to others? So those skills I think are essential for every aspiring entrepreneur and can be picked up in whatever job you have. Say you're working McDonald's flipping burgers, there's 100 customers every single day. That's 100 opportunities to improve your communication. There's 20 processes going on. You can optimize processes. So for anyone out there listening who thinks that your current situation does not help you become a better entrepreneur, think again, wherever you are. And if you cannot, message me and I'll tell you how the thing you're doing right now, if you apply yourself, if you focus, if you set smaller targets, you can spend a year and become better, you know, when you finish that job and when you leave.
I'm going to message you after this.
Yeah, no, sure.
I'm going to message you. I need some of that.
But you got where I'm going with
Yeah,
it, right?
yeah.
100%. 100%, yeah. I used to work in McDonald's, so.
And what skills have you learned? How long have you worked there?
I worked there for a year at the age of, I think I joined at 17, left at 18, right when I went to uni.
And looking back, any skills
It was
you picked
great,
up?
man. I mean, it was my first job, so before that, I was kind of just like, I'd never really had any responsibilities, or I'd never been paid to do anything, basically. I was making £4 an hour, which I thought £4 an hour was a lot at the time. Like when you have no money, I did a shift for 4 hours. I've got £16. I'm like, yes, so I'm rich. But no, I remember because McDonald's, you're always going to be short-staffed because the franchise owner is always trying to make the margin as big as possible. So you're always a little bit stretched. And I think the main challenge I had was like, I needed to be a lot more assertive than I was as a kid. So if I was, for example, I would run like they call it, there's chicken side where all the chicken is, and there's grill side where all the beef is. So chicken side, you have a bunch of vats, like a big oil vats. Then you've got a big toaster, and you've got like all of the salads and stuff like that, and you've got trays with all of the chicken selects, nuggets, etc. So because we were short-staffed, I would basically have to do all of that on my own. So I'd fry everything, and then put the timers on, and then like toast the buns, and then put the mayo on, and then put the chicken on. And if something was running out, I would need to demand for somebody else to refill whatever it was. The freezers run out of nuggets or whatever. And when I first started, I mean, first of all, I thought when you go to work at McDonald's, and I was a guy who's getting good grades, I thought of myself as quite smart. I'm going places. I thought I'm going to be way better than everyone at McDonald's. You know, think of the stereotypical McDonald's employee is stupid. You know, they're not going anywhere. They're not ambitious. I thought, I'm going to come in here. I'm going to be way smarter than everyone. I'm going to blast. I'm going to learn everything really quick. I was the worst person there. I was by far the slowest learner.
For how long?
Probably
a few weeks.
Probably like most of the time, man.
Really?
No, it was probably like.
Did you get fired?
No, I didn't get fired. I got fired somewhere else, which I could tell. But yeah, but like it was a completely different type of intelligence than what I was doing at school, which was like memorizing stuff and like comprehension. So I think I got a lot more humble. I realized that there are certain skills that apply in the real world that you will not learn in school, like being assertive, like working in teams, communicating,
multitasking,
working
under pressure,
exactly,
planning ahead.
Exactly.
delegating. Same skills that a CEO who's 40 years old running a Fortune 500 companies is doing, but on a scale 1,000 scale. But it's the same essential skills. Like, and it sounds boring when you put it on the resume. It works under pressure, communication, but it's basically all it is.
Yeah.
So was it useful?
100%. Because if you looked at it in a microcosm, the level of pressure that I perceived myself to be under is probably similar to the level like a CEO feels. Because they're so much more competent and they have so much higher level of skill, the level of overwhelm I felt needing to ask for like more fries to be put in in the freezer is probably similar to like what a top CEO feels when there's a crisis in their company, because they handle stress so much better than I did as a kid. I like the level of overwhelm for that little thing. So it was good. It stretched me. And if I hadn't done that, I would dread to think, you know, if I went through uni and then my first job, I would dread to think what position I would be in if that all was all new, you know.
Completely agree. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
Any comments on that? Or
Did
anything
you have
wanna
any
share?
shit jobs?
What did I?
What did you do as a kid? You were just building businesses. We've talked about this on the podcast before.
Yeah, probably don't want to talk about it again. Did I ever tell you about my first business?
Remind me which one.
Oh, I don't think I did. God, am I going to do this right now? Am I going to do this?
Yeah, give us a summary.
All right, I was 14 years old. And I sat down one day. I was like, I need to make money. But I gave myself a criteria. A little bit like you now, right? I was like,
20 years before me.
I want to sit at home.
Damn,
I can't.
same first
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
Number one.
Exactly. Exactly.
Let's see.
Great
number
minds.
two.
Yeah, my
Was that
parents
fun?
wouldn't let me out. They were quite strict, so I had to sit at home. The other thing was, this was a big limitation, but I overcame it. I didn't have a bank, so I didn't have a card. So I had to figure out a way to make money without actually getting paid by a bank transferable card, right? So this was a big limitation. I didn't have money, so I couldn't buy anything. You know, this is actually your list.
Operation Simple.
Yeah.
Continue.
And what was the other one where you're not
Zero cost of reproduction.
exactly zero cost of reproduction?
Damn.
Yeah. So I didn't want to deal with physical products.
Well, how old were you?
I was 14. So anyway, I thought, and then I came with an idea. Basically, there was this social media site
Okay.
that you'd go on the homepage, and you'd put your email and you'd put your details. So I made a profile of this hot girl, and I went onto this social media site, and I was like, add me on MSN. It was MSN in those days.
Which media site? MySpace?
It was called Facebox. I don't know if you remember it. I don't know if you know. It was like a small one, but people were using it in like school at the time for a little bit.
You impersonated the hot girl.
I impersonated this hot like 19-year-old girl.
Rebranded yourself.
Yeah, exactly. And then I told all these people to add whatever Kitty, whatever, you know, on MSN, Kitty XOX on MSN, right? Within the space of 2 minutes, I'd get like 2,000 ads. I'd accept all of them. And I had a copy and paste ready, and I just pressed Control V and I just paste it to all of them. And in that, it basically said, cam girl, 15 minutes, £15, I'll do anything you want. Right? Now you'd think, I didn't know if it was going to work, but it worked.
But how can they send you the money?
This is what I thought. Because I couldn't collect payment, I got these SIM cards, and I'd get them to top up the SIM card, £15, and then I would sell it for £10.
Nice.
Genius.
And I was actually making a decent amount of money. Now, anyway, the business expanded. So one day, I persuaded my poor brother so I can use his bank card. He never knew at the time what I was using it for. But I was like, I want to make a PayPal account. So then it was a lot easier because there was kind of two businesses going on here. Now, a lot of the people would be like, well, how do I know you're not just a little boy pretending to be a hot girl, right? So then I invested in this software. It was a one-off, like £20, where you can download a webcam video and you can put anything from the internet. So I found this video of like this hot chick who would like wave, she'd do this, because a lot of them would be like, oh, give me a thumbs up or give me this. And then that increased sales by like 150%.
Wow.
And this is the worst thing about it. It wasn't enough for me just to take money off these guys, right? What I would do sometimes is after they've paid, they're like, oh, can you see me? I'm like, sure. And I'd have my friends over, all right? So we'd actually like do it for the banter, and they'd pay, let's say they'd pay. And then the guy's like, oh, you're going to go on cam? And I'm like, yeah, sure. And then he's like getting really excited. And then he'll just see this little boy. I'm like, like pointing and laughing in his face. And he'd quickly turn it off. And then
Dude, you're going to make a lot of money.
do you know what the funniest thing is, though? No one ever complained because I was receiving payments in PayPal. No one actually, apart from one person, no one ever complained.
Why do you think that is?
They're probably too embarrassed to go to PayPal and be like, oh, this chick promised me she was going to do on webcam, but she didn't do it.
I really like this.
And that was my first business venture.
I mean, ethical consideration aside, I think it's really good exercise in business, wealth creation, rebranding, you know. Yeah.
I think he's just found his business.
Yeah, he's found his business.
No, this is like, I have ethical considerations as number
You need to
5.
yeah.
No, 6 months in, I was doing it for 6 months. This voice came in my head and it was like, Hayder, if you don't stop now, you are basically going to be in the porn industry. And that thought of being identified with that, I was like, no, I have to stop. So then I stopped completely and I transitioned to like selling things on eBay and stuff.
Amazing.
But it was a good experience. I even tried to teach my friends how to do it because they're like, come on, we all had like infinite amount of credit, right? They're like, please teach me. So I'm like, you just gotta persuade them, isn't it?
So you were 14? I'm mind blown. Like, I didn't know how to use the internet at 14.
Yeah, I was.
Yeah, you
The
were
same
early,
age, right? Yeah. Dude, that's amazing. Should do more outside the box thinking like that.
Well, that I still remember the first moment because I was like, surely it's not gonna work.
Is that when you fell in love with making money?
Yeah, like the first dopamine hit. You know,
Oh
that
my
first
God.
£15. I was like, he did it. He paid. I was like, nah.
I love it. My first one was in high school.
I'm guessing it was more ethical.
Slightly, but not. It's still unethical. We were copying CDs and selling games and songs. So I'd have a list. I have my tech friend, Rami, shout out if you're watching. And he's the tech guy who would copy burn CDs. And I have a list of things like this game, Age of Empires, 10 dirhams, whatever. I'd have a menu and we'll go around the class, we'll collect orders, go burn DVDs and sell them to people. Next became Pokemon cards. Next, I got a job and it ruined everything.
Had so much potential.
Yeah, it slowed me down.
Okay, wow.
What was your first business, if we have time for it?
Well, my first business was
First making money story.
Well, I didn't make any. I had a lot of failed businesses
That's
before I made
excellent.
a pound, man.
Lessons.
Yeah, I
expensive
mean,
lessons.
the first thing I tried was buying broken iPhones on eBay, fixing them and then selling them refurbished. Problem was I couldn't figure out how to fix them. so I bought one. I bought the kit. I watched like YouTube. It took me literally like maybe 2.5 weeks to try and fix this one like cracked screen.
Wow.
So I left that one. The next one was my cousin. This one I didn't go ahead with. Almost convinced me to join a pyramid scheme. So it was basically like you know these pyramid schemes where they're like, you buy this box of drinks and all you have to do is sign up 2 other people, and all they have to do is sign up 2 other people.
Multi-level marketing. Yeah.
Exactly.
I hate them.
That was called Vima, and that's now gone. It got shut down by the government for being a pyramid scheme. I was this close to joining that one. Then I made an FBA business. FBA business was next, which was like, it was during COVID, and I did all of the analysis using Jungle Scout and like looked at the market, what's selling, what's not got that many reviews or not that many competition. I analyzed maybe 20 products. I picked one. It was like these push pop toys, so they're like sensory toys for people with ADHD or autism and things like that. And I thought, there's a lot of kids the schools are closed, they're at home, they're frustrated. Like this would help a lot of kids with special needs. I'm gonna like design a unique design. The only problem with this was I hadn't left the house for about a year because it was COVID. So I ordered them. None of them sold. I couldn't figure out for the life of me why. All the data was saying it would sell.
Where would you try to sell them, or how?
On Amazon. On Amazon FBA. So I made
Where
an
did you
Amazon
get them
store.
from?
Oh, I got them like manufactured in China. Just got the Alibaba, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, designed all the packaging, paid a photographer to take nice photos, etc. I couldn't figure out why they weren't selling. Then I went to get like my hair cut, and I realized these things are in every shop window. Everybody is selling these things. They're absolutely you can't go into a shop without them like hanging these things in the window. So I was like, oh yeah, fine, okay, that one didn't work.
So
And
the
then
business model worked. You were just not early enough. Like if you were earlier,
maybe. I don't
but
even know.
it seems like
It was always gonna crumble at some point. And then after that, I started making charts on social media, like almost like a news thing where something interesting would happen. I had a friend who did data analysis, like data science. Had him create a chart and we'd post it online. We would spend hours and hours on this. I think we got about 80 followers. And that was the thing that actually led to me starting TikTok. Because I started recording, like we couldn't get any traction. So I'd record and be like, this is how we made this chart. And then I started talking about like other career related stuff. And it snowballed into what I have now, which is a account with, I don't know, 40 odd thousand followers. But the chart business got like 80 followers in 3 months. And then in 1 week of TikTok, we got like thousands in that.
Well, it
week.
all builds on each other, you know,
Yeah.
even that,
It's just stumbling forwards like awkwardly.
it's why we started hanging around as well. I saw you were doing the FBA stuff. I saw, you know, you were trying different things. So it's all a part of it, man. This is why you gotta keep struggling. In terms of ideas then, for your criteria, what are you thinking now?
I don't have any ideas yet. My plan is to do nothing for a few months, let my mind just rest and purge all the corporate brainwashing and propaganda.
It is. It takes a long time. It took me a long time
'Cause
to.
there's a lot of bad habits that comes from working jobs. And then, I mean, I do note down ideas when they come up, but there's nothing on mind. That's why I went a step behind and I decided criteria. When I get the idea, I run it by these, and usually if it makes it through all 5, I'll do it. Yeah, but I'm trying not to do that right now.
We'll just do a little activity now, just like as a little game. You know, imagine we were gonna start a business. You know, based on what he told us. Let's say we were gonna co-found or have some business partnership in something.
Nice. I like this.
What I guess I'm trying to think. Does anything come to your mind, Joe, of something if we were to set up with Alan that hits that criteria?
I have one. Based on what you both do. A course on how to, you know, do the Airbnb business in different cities like you are doing now. It's a proven business model, so you can scale it with a course.
All right.
You can record the content 5 hours, whatever, and start selling that.
So
that will satisfy a lot of these criteria.
If we did a course.
For you, because you already do it, so I guess you don't hate it, and it already makes money, so it's proven. So why not teach other people to do what you did in different cities?
So let's say we did that. Let's go with that. Imagine now I'm like, fine, we'll set up a business. We sell Airbnb training globally. We'll go 50-50. What would the next steps be? How would you plan this? What would your next moves be?
In parallel, we'll work on how to franchise this so the people we're training become our franchisees. So in one way, we're teaching people how to run the business, and another way, we're expanding your, future empire and cashing in on a fixed, smaller profit. Maybe now you take 10-20% from the property owners, but we can bring that down and help the things scale, across.
I thought this was an activity. I'm getting convinced here. This is a business happening on podcast.
It's a good idea.
Yeah, this is. Sorry, go on.
No, that's it.
Yeah.
We'll teach them with the course, which will be sold, but also, you have a proven business model, so why not expand it?
What I guess the question is then, what do you think what will you be able to bring to the table? What is it that you have? Let's say you're the person, you're like, I'm going to take lead on this. You know what I mean? I'm going to set up this franchising training thing that I've said. What why you, for example?
No reason. I think you can do it alone. I think me is giving you the idea. If there's any support you need, I do have a lot of experience scaling things from Amazon. I have a lot of experience building processes from the ground up, training people. I've launched like full centers with thousands of people. We've had to train people from scratch to become full Amazon service centers, pushing out 50,000 packages a day within 6 weeks. So I know how to train people. I know how to scale processes. I know how to think big. I know how to connect stuff. I know supply chain. So I think I will be of some use to you.
I don't know about you, Joe, but I'm convinced, bro.
Man, you guys should start
He
tomorrow.
started off humble. He's like, I don't think anything. Nah. And then he says all of these things.
I really think you can do it alone. I don't think you need anyone, but I think it might be easier if you partner with someone that can take some of the boring work for you out of the equation.
Listen, I'm a big believer of doing things in partnerships. You know, things move a lot faster and they're a lot more effective. This is all my success has been partnerships. So right now, while we're on podcast, while we're being recorded, let's do this. Let's start it.
Yeah.
If you're down, I'm happy to start it.
Let's sit down and run the numbers together, and the numbers will tell us if we should or should not do it.
Fine. And maybe in a year's time we can do another podcast and
update people.
Update people. It would be interesting.
Yeah,
history.
let's sit down. It's an idea. We'll evaluate it. We'll look at your finances. We'll do some market analysis to see what's out there, what courses are out there, what franchises are out there, what kind of demand there is through maybe looking at analytics or search words. And by the end of this, within 2 or 3 hours, maybe one afternoon, we'll get to the point from, hey, it's might be a good idea, to either it's a really good idea, or all the way to, oh, this is a good idea, but 7 people already did it, so there's no point. So we can get there. But for now,
How much longer are you in London for?
it's location independent. We can be on a call also and do it. But how long? Aren't you leaving soon?
I'm going on Wednesday.
Okay. We'll coordinate or schedule
Fine.
something
Fine. We'll have...
to run the numbers.
Yeah, sounds good.
I'm happy to do that with you.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
And we'll update the viewers in the future.
Amazing. That was history in the making. Look at that. Wow. That's a first for a podcast. Anything else? Are we good?
Anything from you?
It's been really fun. I wish we had more time. And I really like the idea of, the way he explained it. Instead of going for like a dinner or something, and just rent out the space and have the same conversation. And I think that's really nice. And I'm going to try to do that also.
Amazing.
With some of my friends in Canada.
Amazing.
Okay, man. Well, it's been good, man. Thanks for coming.
Thank you, guys.
This has been productive. It's been interesting.
Yeah,
as well.
very
I've
interesting.
learned a lot.
I did too. It's been very reflective, and some of the questions are things I need to think about on my own, also for myself. Yeah.
Well, thank you. You were our first guest, by the way.
Yeah.
Woo-hoo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Number one.
Nice. My pleasure. And keep doing what you're doing, and keep struggling, keep entrepreneurship, art, whatever the word is. That's why I don't identify as one. It's so hard to say that word.
We'll just call ourselves strugglers.
Yeah, strugglers is easier.
strugglers.
Strugglers.
Yes.
All right,
Awesome.
man. Cool.
All right.
Next time. We'll be back soon.
Yeah, it's warm.
We should have done this in winter.